So, new aspect, new way of looking at things. So we're going to do a little bit of dictation over the top of these educational videos, just to give you a better understanding as to what's going on, as opposed to just looking directly at a video or sort of looking at the imagery around it. So we've gone ahead with the diamond section. That's just to gain us a nice shape and something to work from. So, going over the crown to start off with, just going to create a nice graduation going in there. It's going to give us our shape building up. It allows us to know exactly where our clipper work's going to be. So we're just going to build that shape right up there. So we're going to pull perpendicular from the head and give a nice clean cut. Angle it down over, creating that nice graduation. Keep the sections nice and small for maximum control. Just cross-checking everything so everything marries together. Just for that precision. So the reason that we do this is to gain as much control as we possibly can, so that we know where that longest layer is going to lie. So when the clipper work goes in afterwards, we're going to have a good understanding of exactly where the shape is and exactly what sort of look we're going for, because we've created that shape before we put the clipper work in. So heading on to the top now, we're just going to create a profile section. The profile section is just a thin strip of hair which runs from the center, from the apex or the large bumpy bit at the back, all the way down to the sort of front lobe, or sort of where the fringe area would be. So just pulling the hair from perpendicular from the head, make sure there's no over direction there. Just give that a nice clean cut. And we're cutting this hair sideways on, and the reason we're doing that is just to gain the elevation and give us a better idea of the shape that we're going to create overall. So we want to maintain as much length as we possibly can at the front, because the front has the longest to travel. In shape of this, rather than if you cut it all one length, you're going to find that the front sections is going to be too short and it's going to sort of stick out, and it's not going to give you the control and the shape that you require for this sort of look. So just marrying from that profile section there, making sure everything matches together. We're pulling up and using a uniform layer. Now the reason we use a uniform layer is again just to gain as much control as we can and to remove any weight that will be left with a square layer on the sides. Let's keep them sections nice and small and a nice clean cut. And again, just using that control, using the layer that we've already put in as a guideline. It's important to have a guideline, because if you ever run out, you can always go back to the beginning in the middle section there, and then find your guideline and work it in from there. Okay, so we're just going to bring everything down, bring everything in. We can see now where the longest layer is, so we know where we're ready prepped for clipper work. We're just going to go into the front section there now, just knocking off the edges, because we don't want to take the front too short. We want to keep as much length in there as we possibly can, and that's going to gain us the best shape possible for this particular look in itself. So with this look, what we're going for is a nice sort of flowing look on top, and a nice and neat back and sides. Nothing too dramatic, nothing too short, but it's just a good way of showing the discipline needed in order to get the shape right. So just marrying that fringe section there into the top lining which we've created for the clipper work to go in now. That nice and smooth, nice and clean. Make sure all your cuts are just nice and precise. Make sure everything's done nice and neatly. As you can see, we're pulling the hair out away from the head. That's to gain softness. If we pull it down and tight, it's going to give one nice harsh line. But for this, we want something nice and soft. Just brush that back, just chuck everything off. So going in there with a 1.5 guard. Now that 1.5 guard's been opened up. It's going to give it a sort of a number 2, if you like. Now that number 2 is a nice length for me to go in and just sort of create that top line for myself, using the shape that I've put in previously with the scissor work. And we're just sort of marrying that out now, going from the temple area down into the occipital area. Now again, using those sort of words, if you're not too sure what those are, the bone at the bottom of the back of the head, which is the bit that sort of sticks out, that's the occipital area. And obviously the temple area is, the sort of the little squidgy bit just on the side of the head there. So now just descending down from what would be a number 2 essentially to a 1 guard, but opened up to a 1.5. And just descending down, reducing the length, maintaining as much control as possible. So just lining out now. Just removing any sort of excess hairs that are in and around the ear, just to kind of keep that nice shape to it all. Now, alternatively, when you're using a skin fade, this isn't something necessarily that you would do, but it's always good practice to have. And just to maintain that width in that haircut, it's going to give it the most natural look to it. If you go in too narrow, you're going to create, a haircut that's not going to last as long, because, within 2 or 3 days, that sort of summers back up again. Keep as much width as you possibly can. Now for me, I prefer to use a sort of scissor or a comb when I'm sort of graduating in. And the reason I like that for, just for me, it's got the most control. I descend down into the haircut. It does descend down from the haircut, that I put in where the longest layer lies. And where the clipper work starts, I'll start to descend into that clipper work. Essentially, it's not really massively important as to what you use. You could use a pair of clippers. You could use a razor. You could use anything really. As long as the angle of the comb is what's correct and what's right, whatever takes the hair up on the other side of the comb is entirely up to you. For me, I prefer scissor or comb, and it gives me the finish that I like, that I'm comfortable with. And when you're using quarter steel scissors, there's nothing else better than that to get that hair off and keep that real crispness to it. So we're going to carry this on, then we're going to go back into the back section and blend that in on a very similar sort of way. Okay, and you'll sort of see the shape going. A few little tweaks, and into the back area. So working from that longest layer, we'll find it with the scissor or comb, and then we'll just start to reduce down, creating that graduation. Now a graduation, if you think of it like this, think of it as an umbrella, and then the water falling off the umbrella, right? The ends of the umbrella is the longest layer, okay? And the water that falls off creates it's the graduation shape that you want. It just drops in. So it gives us a nice polished finish. And then all we'll do is we're going to repeat the same on the opposite side and then into the back area. And that's just relatively done with that particular technique that we're using. Okay, so again, we're just going to repeat the process there as it says in the video. We're just going to line out there and repeat it on the opposite side. And then once we've done that, we're then probably going to head into a blow dry. There's no blow dry on this video, unfortunately. There's just more or less of an after. Okay, it's coming up relatively soon. To pre-style it, what we used was a sea salt spray. Now we used the sea salt spray to maintain control during the blow dry, so we don't get any frizzy bits or anything like that. It's a good product to use, to control the hair as you dry. Because sometimes when the hair's been freshly washed, it's a little bit light, it's a little bit wayward, it can be a little bit static also. So the sea salt spray just gives it that sort of next day dirtiness, if you like. It allows you just a bit more control over the blow dry. And there it is. There's the finish. Okay, so to finish off, we used a little bit of dust, and then we went through it with a big pompadour comb, big wide teeth. Just gives it that nice streaked finish. Scissor comb keeps it nice and clean throughout, and it's just a nice contemporary look for a nice chap. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give us a like. If you didn't, please still give us a like.